Well, it's a very accurate description of how people are different from each other. Each type has a structure of thoughts, emotions, sensations. And as a structure, each type has the same structure, but the story, the content that flows into the structure is different. Because we have different childhoods, we have different parents, we have different everything. So we have a personal story. And we have, very much like faces in a crowd, there are no two faces the same. The stories never repeat. But that's not really the point of the Enneagram. The point is to be able to understand your story as the way that you are automatically conditioned, that means automatically, mechanically even, to respond, how you are conditioned to respond. But underneath the story is the capacity to receive and to change voluntarily. So the Enneagram teaches us to appreciate the differences between types, rather than seeing the type as so different from me, so it must be incorrect. My way is correct, your way is a mistake. Yeah. So it increases our understanding of how very different people are, and that each of these 9 types, with its different point of view, is correct. It's true, subjectively, that you need options and freedom. It is true, subjectively, that I need to stay in one place and feel secure. That is our preference. And so we're very different from each other, but I can understand somebody who has options if you tell me about yourself. And you could understand the validity, the truth of my internal world that is quite different from your own. So what it does is explain yourself in such a way that you can appreciate all the other different people who previously might have looked like they've just got it wrong. And I have the right way, because subjectively I do. It's a subjective, personal truth shared by other 6s. And it's completely coherent to me, though somebody else would say, oh my gosh, how stuck. Or I might say, how flighty, how unstuck. Where are you going to land? I might say that. If I had not known these differences between people, it would be very difficult to appreciate what they contribute. You contribute multiple ideas. I see that as distraction. For example, in a business setting, if you come in with multiple options, I feel you can't make up your mind unless I knew that this is a coherent strategy for problem solving according to the type 7. And you might not know that my more methodical approach, my not wanting to take too many risks and seeing what could go wrong with the situation, troubleshooting. But if you see troubleshooting as a valuable asset, and I see multiple options bringing in new possibilities, then we could even work on the same team with great appreciation for each other, instead of thinking, you're wrong, I'm correct. The second thing that I think the Enneagram brings is, or at least this is what I have brought to the table, is a structural point of view, so that when you turn attention inward for purposes of knowing yourself, self-awareness, so that you can describe yourself to other people, so that they can treat you more carefully, now that they know how you work inside. So by turning attention inward, the first thing you notice is the structure, the personality structure. Now that's quite a bit deeper than what's my type, get it in a book. Because now you're actually observing the structure of the type. Instead of just knowing about it, you're going to cooperate with it. And this is where change can really happen quite speedily. Whereas we were stuck in the psychoanalytic model for a long time. And change, though profound, took a very long time. This was a time before we had the evidence of neuroscience about how that structure is organized, how the thoughts, emotions, and sensations, the 3 forms of intelligence that we have, are organized in a very coherent way. So when you turn attention inward instead of being fascinated with outward, This is how actually, if you have discovered your accurate type, instead of just the one you like best, you can turn attention inward and see how it actually operates. And so when the 6 begins to become anxious, you can discover, for example, a signal in the pattern of thinking when you are about to go into anxiety, which is focused on the worst case of something that could happen for purposes of troubleshooting. And you could see the arising of this kind of diverging attention to consider multiple options like associations that appear to you because you're organized that way. Now, if you would want to be working in a linear fashion for an end result, for example, in business, and you start to spread into options, you would be less efficient and less worthwhile to the team than if you noticed, I'm about to say, oh yes, and that reminds me of. And if we took this point to this path, you see there would be all kinds of other things, possibilities, but not actualities perhaps. But you can recognize when this pattern starts to engage. And just by being aware of it, you can come back inside of yourself to a neutral place, usually the breath, which has no patterns. So you come in, and you relax down into yourself, and you learn to be carried by the breath, which has no patterns, and you come into the present moment. The aim is to stay, when you wish to really investigate your structure and work with it as a friendly relationship, you need a neutral point to return to. It doesn't have any patterns, and that is the present moment, which has no past and future. It's always now. So the return to now is very important, and the breath has no patterns. So that is usually the primary focus. When you want to say, I don't want to have many options. I don't want to see the worst case. I want to balance this with being able to see all the possibilities of the best case. I can change my pattern if I change my state of mind. And the state of mind of silence, emptiness, for some short period of time, is a resting place that will put a pause on your options and my looking for trouble. Now, looking for trouble is great, but it can run you. And options are great, but they can run you automatically, or you can cooperate with the pattern you have. I think that's probably the best use of the Enneagram, is that you can begin to participate in your own change